Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valerie, your neighborhood pyrography artist. I'm joined with hubby.
Hubcap.
And today we're doing dark background. Alright, this may look weird, and I'll explain it very quickly. This is completely raw, hasn't been burned yet, and so we're going to put the prime burn in to match this. And then what this burn in is over here is the next level, and this is the third level. So we've got 3 different levels. I left this swatch so it'd just be easier for me to show you how I got there. Hey Andrea Spence Burb. I'm using the 18L. I do have a new one because there's a little bit of issues with my old one. So Pat sent me a new 18L. And so we are going to go ahead and just jump in and get started. Now I'm going to flip us upside down because I need to be able to get to the skull, and I think I'm going to thank you, Spence. I had to keep my bangs out of my face somehow. And I figured kitty would work. Probably easier than puppy dog ears.
Oh,
so
Moritz is here.
Hey Mort, what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch down in a already pre-burned area just to check, just to pull some heat from my tip. And see, this is already burning darker than that tone right there, so I'm going to bump down to 3. And I'm just trying to keep it even. So I'll touch down over here, and I'll drag down. I'm trying not to get a halo. And this is definitely burning a little bit different than my other one, which I'm totally fine with. It's just going to be a matter of adjusting a little bit.
Oh, Greg's here.
Hey Greg, so no worries there. So, there we go, blend it in, make sure, because I don't want a halo, and I kind of have a halo over here, and I don't want a halo. So I'm going to flip us back around. There we go. And if it's a little dark on our screen, it's because I got my overhead light off, because if I don't, there'll be a bright light shining on the burned areas, because it gets shiny. So I'm just dragging down. Now with this new pen I should be able to go in oval strokes, but since I've already started this with drag down, I need to finish at least the underburning that way.
Teresa's here.
Hey Teresa. So I'm just dragging down. This is the actual speed I'm using at 3. And remember, the grain burns differently in different areas, and that's just going to have to be okay. So I'm flat and dragging down, but I am trying to lift up to let the tip reheat a bit before I touch it down again. And this is controlling your speed is what makes that difference. So I'm just going to get this filled in. And again, because I did have to do this side at 3 and this side at 3.5, and I think it was because of the grain. It's burning different. Plus, I forgot on the right side that I was doing 3.5 on the left. So I just had my heat setting too low. So now we got that all locked in. And then I can go ahead and bump up to the 5.5. Get that next layer in. And the point of that is just so I can get some nice deep darks, and what I'll do is I'll show you by wiping the board real quick. So I'm going to go up to 5 just to give me some wiggle room.
Spence wants to know how hard you're pressing on the wood.
I'm not pressing hard. You don't want to press hard, it'll bend your tip, especially when you're using higher heat. You just heard me tapping down as it was making contact. That's what you were hearing, but I'm not trying to push down. Sometimes I grip the pen a little too hard, and it might look like I'm pushing really hard, but I'm not. You don't want to push hard. Remember, this is basswood. It burns differently than birch. Birch will require higher heat settings, but doing that prime layer, kind of like priming the wall of your house or your car, canvas, when you prime it, the next burn is a little more, it's more even. So I'm just getting some denatured alcohol and then pull back. And what's going to happen is we're going to see kind of how the wood's going to react when we varnish. Plus we're going to get carbon off. Now I've already wiped this board once and then I went darker. But see how dark the difference is between the two burns right here? That's what's going to happen when we varnish. See how dark that just went?
Yeah.
See, because all the wood's going to darken.
It has a really pleasant effect.
And that's what I want. That's what I want. That's why I'm doing it in layers, so we don't have. See, that's not quite even yet, and that's because it doesn't have the third layer on it. But that is the difference. But any place that maybe got a little more charcoaly, when I go and see, that's just from rubbing off. There is carbon coming off because that happens. And then I darkened up the fabric. Watching the camera, so I know. But you're not going to be able to tell the difference compared to last week because I went the whole. And it's starting to dry off. Alrighty. So that's what I'm looking for. Is I want that dark that I'm getting right here when it gets wet. That is what I'm going to want when it varnishes. So I'm going to go up to 5 and we're going to get this part filled in real quick to match this part. And then we are going to bump up to, let's see, I did 6 over here. Since this is at 5.5, I'm going to have to go 6.5 to on this side and draw down into the fabric. So wiping down is going to tell you a lot more of how dark it's going to be and help adjust. So
Spence says, cool, this is what I really needed to know because I was just trying to get the black right away.
no, black right away is going to give charcoal, and I do have a little bit of charcoal. I tried to blend it out as much as I could from other tips so you can see. And I'm going to go over it one more time to try to smooth that out. But if you go straight black first, you are going to get the charcoal and it's going to be harder to get even. So I'm at 5. I'm going to touch down where I've already touched down. Just drag down. Trying to keep it as even as I can. See, even at 5, because this is a new pen, and I think this one's a little thinner in its profile. So it heats a little different, which I like this one better. I'm really happy with it.
So I noticed that, like, when you're doing it like this, that it has a really pleasant texture. It's like smooth and satiny. And I know that if you try and get the dark right off the bat, you end up with a very charcoal and even cracked appearance, which can be good, I suppose, if you're going for that.
If that's what you want.
But
I know using the flame takes a whole lot less time. You're going to get a lot more even burn and more control. I'm not going to go all the way to the skull so that I can flip the board. It'll be easier than trying to get it. Oh, didn't realize it was off camera. Sorry, guys. And anytime I lift the pin up, it's going to reheat. The longer I lift, the hotter it's going to get. But I'm flat and just dragging down. Yeah, this pen is doing a better job. See, I didn't realize my other one had issues. I was talking to Pat about something else, and we got onto the dark background and some issues I was having and why I was doing the drawdown stroke instead of ovals. And we figured out what the problem was. So he got me a new pin out really quickly. Got it yesterday. I do think I'm going to go back over, so there'll be 4 layers where I'm doing the oval stroke just to ensure everything's even, because you can see the grain, and I'm not wanting the grain on this one. So I'm going to go probably with slightly higher heat and then go back with the quick oval. I started doing that down here and it was working well, so I will do that for the whole background. But right now I need to do the same here as I've done in the other areas, or you're going to be able to tell that I changed it up. And I want it to be universal. So we'll get this in quickly, and then we will go up to the next heat setting. I know this is a lot of work, and I know you may not want to sit there and do it. I know that when I'm not talking to you guys, I have to be careful on when I do a dark background, because I can fall asleep doing it because it's so repetitive. It can knock me out depending on the time of day. And I have had that thought of, oh, I can close my eyes for just a second and just keep the pen moving. Yeah, that's not safe.
Yep, not something I can do.
Well, I catch myself and go, okay, we're done. Because, well, like I said, I have looked at the back of my eyelids for a little too long. Just using more of the tip right here. Just trying to blend it out. And I am trying out the oval stroke to see how well it works, and it's doing great. Alrighty. Yeah. I can feel the difference between the two pens. I had to adjust with the other one. This one I don't have to. Alright. So I did go a half step down on my heat. That's why we got a little bit of line. But I'm going to go ahead and bump up to 6.
Wow. It's pretty high for you.
Well, we are doing a dark background. And see, the light's going to hit this differently, so it looks different in person than what you guys are seeing on camera. And I have tried to get it as close as I can. Alright, so this is at 6. It was red, but I'm keeping it touched down so it won't go red, because the wood is pulling the heat. Gotta remember, I was doing drag down, so I need to stick with it. I also got a new 3B because as it turns out, the 3B I've been showing you guys was a prototype. Didn't realize it. And Pat changed how he makes it and how he bends it, so I got an updated version of that.
Spence wants to know which pen you're using right now.
This is the 18L. This is the large 18. So now I need to slow down a little bit. Depending on each piece of wood is going to have, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. It might burn better in one direction versus the other, and we've talked about that before. And this one, I have started with the drag down from the top, so it seems to like that better. Ooh, we're going to take another ride. There we go. Excuse me. So we are going to start here. And yes, because of the heat setting I'm on, we are getting more smoke.
Yeah, you can really smell it.
But it is not in my face. Is it in your face?
No, it's just strong.
So this is, yep, 6. See, that looks a little charcoaly. But I will end up making sure that I blend. And if I go back over it when there's less heat, it'll blend out a little bit. And then when I go to varnish, it'll look like the rest of it. But I do feel I need to go back over this with ovals. Just to fully get it smoothed out. Now, if I had done this in ovals, I think I would have been able to stop at 3 layers. But you're going to have to test your wood with that. And I do pull off and go back over in these other directions when I see it. And that's because I'm trying to blend. And because of how I'm moving my pen, there's different heat. It's not a whole lot, but there is a little different heat. In these strokes, I'm moving from my shoulder down. Normally, I'm moving just my wrist, but in this case, it's my shoulder all the way down.
Why is that?
Just so I can keep it even speed, keep it even flat on the board, keep more of a straight line. You see, everything below this all has to go darker. So now I'm getting up to just checking. I do stop and check every so often, see if I need to change up the stroke. In some areas I do, and I'm going to pop up to 6.5, and I'm going to work over here just because it's easier to keep on camera. So it is red. I don't normally burn like that. I'm going to pull the heat from the tip, and as we watch, the tip will not stay red because that heat's going into the wood. And with this, I'm trying to do it. With all of it, I'm doing overlapping strokes. And there's only so much heat the wood's going to take. After a while, it won't do anything else.
You can really see the smoke coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really see it on the large screen, but on my screen, you can definitely see
Well,
it.
there was a lot of smoke when I touched down because I upped the heat. And touched down. So I can see smoke right now. But none of it's in my face. Guess smells like a nice fire.
You have a nice fire.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to try ovals. See. Because some of the grain can fight you. And we know it was lighter in here. And be careful touching the wood, because the wood is hot where you burned. And if you see the red tape on my pen, that's just so I know it's the new pen that I got. That's all.
Red tape?
Yellow tape.
Oh. I thought I was losing it.
No. Did I say red?
Yes.
Oops.
But it was you.
I'm sorry. I am hurting. Yeah, we're going to have to try to keep this right to half an hour, because I don't know that I can sit much longer than that.
Okay. You got 11 more minutes.
See, I do need to clean my tip because I am burning hotter. I do have carbon. Let me see if I can safely show you the carbon.
You can see that.
It's not.
I mean, it's not a lot of carbon.
No, what I'm going to do, what I like to do is I will drag the tip in some wax first, burn off the wax, and what happens is it kind of loosens up the carbon so that when I go to wipe it, it is easier to wipe off the carbon without having to constantly sit there and hit my straw.
Yep.
It's just a way to keep it less beat up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the new 3 that I got, 3B, and this is the difference between the two tips. I know you may not be able to tell, but the bend is more so, it's further down. So just think of it as a bigger 2B, and the 2B is that, to give a visual. So I put this on 6. we shall check this pen. See that? Because this pen is a little thinner metal, based on how it's made, I knew to go a little lower. And it's just a matter of working it back and forth, back and forth. Being patient. Overlapping those strokes a little bit. That way you can have a little bit more even burn. You do want your hand to glide across the wood if you're having that problem. Tape down a piece of paper or glassine to your board so that your hand can drag easier and not get caught up in what I mean is the hand down here, and that'll make it easier when you're, especially when you're moving from the shoulder.
Spence wants to know, is the wax from a tea light the same kind of wax that you're using?
Paraffin wax.
So no.
I am not sure on that question. I would Google it because what I'm using is canning wax or paraffin wax. You can get it at the grocery store in the canning section, which is probably under the... I know our stores are different than Canada's. It tends to be in the baking section for us. And right now they should still have it because people are finishing up their harvest and canning stuff. So I'm at 6. And I'm just letting the other pen cool. That's why I switched over. I'm not unhappy with this. I know this is the pen that Burl uses, and I'm wondering if maybe hers was bent a little different than mine, like this one versus my old one, and that's why she liked it better. It is getting dirty because we are going higher heat. And I'll quickly do the same thing. I'm hitting just swiping a couple of swipes against the wax, letting the wax burn off because I don't want that residue. And I'm gonna switch off and let that cool. I forgot, I gotta wipe the 18. Gotta wipe it. So that's what it looks like cool. I can't get it to focus. You can see a little carbon right there at the bottom. Wipe, a couple of swipes. And I gotta remember it's a new pen, so it's going to just color a little bit. You can run your fingernail across and see if you can feel it.
Well,
yeah.
Once it's cooled.
Yes, once it's cooled. There we go. All good. Now turn it back on. 6. This is the 3B cooled off. And I shall wipe it. So just take your time, and then as you get into the fabric and flowers, what you do is, instead of lifting up like you have been to keep an even burn, just keep dragging down, and there'll be enough heat pulled from the pen from up here that it'll do a lighter burn that you can build up to push back the fabric. Let's see if I can show that. Alright, all clean. But like I said, it's going to discolor a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to stick to 6. So what I mean by the fabric is this fabric does need to go darker. And so you can see where I've touched down. I try to keep it as much as to the edge as I can, where the frame will be hiding if I need it to. But once I varnish, it'll even things out. So what I mean by down here at the fabric, there go. Is drag down when there's less heat in the tip, and it will slowly start darkening it, and then you can go back over it. In some areas where you need to go darker, touch down in the dark first and drag down. And that's for if you're pushing anything back into the dark. Touch down in the dark first, and then use the heat that's still in the pen, because it's not like it's going cool. It's just we've pulled heat from it, meaning it's not cherry red. But if you notice, I'm moving quicker and dragging down. Oops, I got a dark spot. It's totally okay. I can also go in circles and blend out. See, this fabric is really dark in the background.
Oh, Beryl's here.
Hey, Beryl.
So she finally got the electronics coordinated.
Oh, speaking of coordination, I know the UK, and it's probably why Sheila's not here. The UK has already fallen back in their time change.
Oh.
The US changes this Sunday. Arizona does not change time zones.
We refuse to change.
We refuse to change. We do not fall back or spring forward unless you're on the Navajo Nation. So, whatever time you are watching today, it will be an hour earlier next week. So, what that means is instead of 2 p.m. Eastern for you guys, it is 1 p.m. Eastern. We are now on the same time as Mountain. We will be. I'm just checking my oval. Sometimes I will change up my pen, see if something else works better for what I want. And blending out. So next week, it will be an hour earlier for you. Unless... Oh, yeah. Unless you're in Arizona. Or Hawaii.
What are we going to talk about next week?
I don't know what we're doing next week. I will let them... Do you guys want to continue working on this piece where I'm darkening everything and blending it together? Or do you want a new piece? And if you want a new piece, what? Because I don't have an idea. So I will let them... if the Super Secret Toasties have a reference photo that's usable and that everybody wants to do, then that's what we shall do. I will give them first pick. I've done a burrow. I've done a Neil with the car. This one's Teresa's. So, Spence, if you want to go on Pixabay and pick something, or Greg, I don't think Greg has given us one. See, I'm going to have to go a higher heat, and I can see that. But what I am seeing is right here, it charcoaled a little bit, and so the tone of the wood color is a little different. So I'm going to have to work that in.
So Beryl and Spence don't want to change their time. You know, you could just stay on your own time. Like, designate your own time zone. Like, Spence time central or Beryl time northern. And just be different from the rest of, from the rest of everybody else. Be like, when people ask you what time you'll be over, you'll be like, oh, I'll be over there at 5 o'clock Beryl time, Mountain, and just insist that they adjust to you.
Yeah, if only. So yeah, it's going to be a back and forth, and I do feel I'm going to have to go. And speed matters. Heat matters. I'm seeing it's looking...
It's looking good.
No, it's doing something I don't want to do. So I am going to try wiping one more time.
Okay, we're up on 30 minutes now.
And the reason we're going to keep it to 30 minutes is last few days, I had a major muscle cramp in my back that it's really bad. But I did not want to, I knew people were waiting for the dark background, so I didn't want to screw with that. Alrighty, so I'm getting a little more denatured alcohol and checking this area because sometimes you can actually pull a burn with a hotter pen, and I don't want to do that. What it's doing is it's actually pulling off the layer. So what I'm checking is this spot right here. This is where I changed pens. And I want to see how it's going to be a little lighter.
That looks really nice.
See, just burned right here.
Varnished.
Oh, I know, me too.
It's going to look really beautiful. I mean, it already does.
Once it's ready to varnish, it means I made it dark enough, and I'm happy with it. I'm just checking, guys. That's all I'm doing.
Wow, that looks really good.
Yeah, I can feel. I'll have to keep working it. The one I'm looking at is this right here.
What are you wiping with?
Denatured alcohol.
Oh, okay.
My regular stuff. It doesn't raise the grain, and it cleans the wood, and I can feel the difference. See, I'm excited. If all of it looks like this, I'll be really happy. It looks like this right here.
It's really rich.
Yep, and that's what I wanted. That's why I didn't want the black background.
Greg says pop duties curling.
Pop
duty. Burn long and prosper.
Bye, Pop.
Burn long and prosper.
You're Pop too. That's funny.
Mm.
You're a Pop. That is what you're called. All right. So yeah, tell me what you guys want for next week. I can darken up the skull, which all that's gonna have to go darker, and all of it has to go darker. Or we can move on to something else. I think what we'll do is me and the Super Secret Toasties will discuss and see what we come up with.
Okay.
And if you want to become a Super Secret Toastie, just click the join button. Right below the video. What?
I was going to say, you can't.
You can't? Why? Why?
Yes, you can.
Sorry, guys.
It's too secret.
Yeah, too secret. And I do want to get a finished video of this up. So you can join. It's by the subscribe button, and there's different levels for joining. But everybody who clicks the join button is part of the Super Secret Toasty Facebook group. So if you want to have an input on what we do every month, please join. Don't forget to hit the like button. And do I have all the questions answered for dark background? Take your time. Do it in layers. Remember that different woods are going to burn differently. Different grains within the piece of wood is going to burn differently. So don't get frustrated with yourself. Try to stay the same speed and whatnot as you go. And that will help. And just be kind to yourself. I'm trying to get some of the fuzzies off. Be kind to yourself. Remember, you may see a dark background in a picture, and it may look perfect, but when you see the piece in public, it may look totally different. So don't be harsh on yourself. Just keep working it. And there's something to say with me.
Okay.
You got it?
I do.
You sure?
Yes.
All right, guys, say it with me.
All right.
You're awesome.
Candy is mine.
You can do this.
It's all mine.
Well, why? Because you're a pyro artist.
But not the trick-or-treaters.
Happy burning and happy Halloween this Sunday. Bye. Hit like and subscribe if you're new. It's not all your candy.